here today in Houston, Texas with Fred and Janice at French Quarter Cajun Seafood down off Highway 6. What made you decide Cajun? Did you get some Cajun soul in you, or where does it?
Janice's background is Cajun, but this restaurant was open about a year before we got into it.
Yeah.
And he had financial issues, and the restaurant business is a hard business.
Yes.
And if you don't have a pretty good account, cash account, when you open up, you would draw down quick. So we came into this about a year after he opened it, to help him out. And then he decided about a year later to get out of it. So he was here for about 2 years.
Okay.
But Janice and I have ran it since then.
Okay.
100%.
So, Fred, you brought up a good point. The restaurant industry is known to be challenging.
Very.
But why, right? It can be lucrative, sure, but the margins are known to be thin.
Very thin.
It's very challenging.
Hey,
why is it challenging?
It's challenging because you are trying to appeal to a small group of people. Because not everyone, in this particular case, likes seafood, for example. So you're appealing to a small fraction of the population out there.
Okay.
So in our case, seafood, if you don't do it right, you're not going to get anybody in here. So when you do get someone in here, it takes a lot of effort to get someone off that street to come in the doors. You want to make sure that we make a lasting impression that they enjoy the food, they enjoy the service. And those are so critical in the business.
Okay.
It's paramount to be on top of your game every day.
And I really feel like too, realizing that you can't please everyone, because especially in this food, I mean, Louisiana folks are all great cooks, right?
Yeah.
So everybody, and there's a different flavor for each part of Louisiana. So you have to realize you have to give the best product, the best quality, and consistently fresh, and you will appeal.
So what you're saying is, just because I'm a good cook doesn't make me a good restaurant.
Absolutely
Oh,
not.
No. You see all those restaurants that are closing out there?
Yeah.
That made it? That's what happens.
First, it can't get too personal. First off, you have to realize everyone's going to have a different opinion of food. I mean, they're going to like, well, I want a thicker roux on their gumbo, or I want a thinner, or I want this. But you have to have your staple. That's what it is. And having back of the house team that enjoys preparing fresh stuff. They don't want everything to come in already pre-done, They don't want everything pre-chopped, pre-done. They enjoy working from scratch.
Yes.
And so that is a pleasure, because you don't see that often. So that's a part of the big part of our success, is they enjoy what they do. And I don't think that they would be here 25 years along with the restaurant if they didn't. You know, they've all been here since the beginning, the guys in the back.
So, you've had people here, how many years, I'm sorry?
25 years.
I'm not entirely sure that's common in the restaurant industry, is it? What's the common number?
So it's like a revolving door.
Yeah.
Everything interesting about we're in a very difficult time as a whole, right? We're in the middle of a pandemic now, and as we're in this pandemic, there's different challenges that are thrown our way. So you mentioned earlier when we were talking, getting started was really challenging, right? What's harder, getting a restaurant started or navigating through this, or can you even equate them?
Well, they're two different things, but I would say, in general, this is probably more difficult because you have no control over it. See? At least when you open a restaurant, you have a little control over everything you do. Here, we have no control of nothing. So it's very hard. This is probably more difficult than opening a restaurant, for sure.
Very difficult.
And you still have the same expenses. So you still have your basic same expenses. So you still have to cover those expenses when you're at the mercy of the government, whether the government will allow people to come into your business. And it's also hard for the staff, because everyone feels this. They feel this in their own life, right? So every day is like opening up a new business. Not in the back of the house, thank goodness. Those guys have got it down, and they have really carried us through this. Our management's done a great job carrying us through it, and our key people who've been here. But it's still difficult. It's an everyday thing. You know, we come in and it's like reopening every day. So, but you know, you just do the best you can.
Yeah, and create those new ways of working to deliver the same experience to your customers, yet safely.
Yes.
Yeah, very important.
This is why we use Taby.
Taby, yeah. Thanks for the transition. I don't pay him, I promise. So, you guys started using Taby, right? And we came, I think I talked with your daughter first, Brooke.
You did.
I talked to Janice, talked to you, Fred. when we first pitched the idea, what do you think? What went through your mind when you heard this? It's a very new concept, right? Not many people are used to it.
So this is back last year, before all the pandemic and all this was going on. And what appealed to me was the fact that a customer in lunch, for example, in lunch, we have a little rush crowd here before the pandemic. So sometimes the service could be a little slack because they could be getting tea for somebody else or this or that. But they're able to pay and walk out, which was to me, what I liked about it is because they don't have to wait on the server to give you the card, take the card back to the register, run the card, bring it back, you sign it. All those steps are cut out. You just pay for it at the table and you're gone.
So it's automated. I assume you get a good bit of business just from surrounding businesses in the neighborhood. They come here, they eat, whether it be a business lunch or a personal lunch. And then the idea being they need to be back at 1 p.m., right? So to know that they can come and eat at a place and get back in time makes them consistent customers and delivers them a step up in your experience.
It does.
Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely.
Okay, very interesting. Yep. Good. What's the feedback you're getting from the customers? What do they think? Do they look at you funny when you show them how this works? Or?
At first they were kind of hesitant to it. But I tell you, the game changer was the pandemic.
Yeah.
Everybody going contactless. So we were ahead of the game with this, and we already had this in place. So now people really appreciate it.
And the to-go side of it, I tell you, it's really, to-go's being the big part of our business. It's so nice to be able to do it through the to-go part because they're not having to hand a card off to a server. They're not having to wait for a server. They can do it on their phone. So the convenience of it, it's been awesome. And it hasn't been any issues. I mean, they work through it quite easily.
On that same point, because it helps us out with the curbside. So all we have to do is just take the food out to the car, and I have to take the food out, get the credit card, swipe the credit card, and go back. So it saves us steps.
Okay, just cuts out all the back and forth, reduces the contact, keeps your employees safer too, right? Because the food's going one way, all of the touch is going one way, which then again keeps all your other customers safer because they know there's reduced contact.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Right.
Do your staff see that it's easier to do this versus credit?
Oh yeah, they love it. When one thing transaction's done, they love it.
Yeah. There's no paper, there's no pen, there's no back and forth, there's no manual entry to tip.
So now they do love it.
It's completely automated.
Yes.
Yeah. Exactly.
And I will have to say, you and Prince, Aaron and Prince both did a great job. I mean, you guys really brought it to us in a way that we weren't practicing and going. It was ready to go, and it was something that worked from the get-go. So there wasn't any of that. Some of these programs that come out, they halfway work or sometimes work, but that's not something that we're dealing with. I mean, you guys really enabled that to where that we felt comfortable with it.
Yeah.
It wasn't an uncomfortable feeling, and anytime we have a question or the staff has any question, you guys are also willing to help with that too, so that helps.
Awesome. We appreciate the feedback.
On our Toubion, you can finish it off. Our homemade Snickers high stack cheesecake. And that will satisfy you right there.